G'day folks, it's the Maple Monkey here again with another Marvel United Homebrew deep dive, and we're going to be looking at all sorts of homebrew creations that people have been working on if they've sort of put together a big collection of stuff with these deep dives. And we're going to continue now with the world of My Hero Academia, put together by NellyNel, a great designer at the Discord community there. And this is the second in a series of videos on this My Hero Academia world because he's created so many characters. And just before we get into the actual the look at the content for this video, I do want to point out that if you like your My Hero Academia stuff, if you love United stuff, and you're looking to get models to sort of represent the characters for these homebrew characters, Big Head Chibis, who I often champion here on the channel, they have just started making some characters for NellyNel's world of My Hero Academia, and I believe the first one that they're making is Froppy. That was a character featured from Class 1A in the previous video, the previous deep dive, but hopefully we'll see more, maybe even some of the characters featured in this video as well. So let's get down and have a look at what we're looking at today. And today from the My Hero Academia range, we're going to be looking at the rival class to Class 1A, and that is, of course, Class 1B. So these are all characters that aren't heavily featured in the series necessarily, but they are a lot of fun, and when you have those sort of like competition, those class competition games and things like that, these guys add a really cool host of background characters and that sort of thing. And so Nelly's done a great job turning these characters from background characters, although they would not like to be called that, but those sorts of characters into really sort of fun characters you can bring to the forefront in the game here. You will notice there's a little bit of what looks like a gap here, and that's just because I haven't got around to ordering a divider for one of the characters in here. So, but trust me, all 20 characters are here, and we've got their class deck as well. So let's have a look at them. All right, and so let's have a look at this team of glorified extras here, and this is the Class 1B. So these are sort of like the other class of high schoolers that are the first year students, alongside the hero team 1A, Class 1A, that the story of My Hero Academia features more heavily. So these guys are really only in a few episodes. They sort of or a few spots. They basically show up in some sort of inter-school sort of rivalry type tournaments and things like that. And then occasionally they're sort of drawn into some of the fighting, but most of the sort of the actual battles against villains and things like that don't really feature these guys. I think towards the end of the series they sort of like they sort of take part in some of the battles and that sort of thing as well. We're going to start with this is Battlefish. She's the class president of Class 1A, and just going into it as well, apologies, I probably do not know any of the actual names of the characters in Class 1B, and I could probably barely tell you most of the names of their hero names as well, so I'll have to be relying on the card names up here. So Battlefish, she has a couple of double heroics here. She's got a double punch, a move and a punch as well, so there's some pretty strong cards. She also has a heroic, a punch, and another punch there, so you can see not a lot of movement going on there, but quite heroic and not a bad number of punches. And then if we have a look here, this is her starting hand card. So if we have a look, it's got immediate expansion, so basically she can grow like her fists big and stuff like that, so she gets immediate expansion. As long as this card is face up in the storyline, you may immediately defeat the first I was going to say henchman, the first thug placed in your location during each villain turn. So basically she sort of like bops the first guy that comes into her spot, gives you a movement as well. Then she's got the double jumbo fist. Okay, so this is 2 punches in both adjacent locations. So she basically sort of thumps both spaces to the side, plus it gives you a punch in your location as well, I guess. And then we have the hand carry, so she can actually use her giant fist to carry her teammates around. So you may move another hero with you this turn. So that's pretty cool as well. That's a funny little utility power there, so pretty cool. Now this next character is really funny, and I like the creative way that Nelly's tackled this guy as well. I was really wondering how he was going to use this guy, but essentially this guy has a comic book panel for a face. So there you go, and of course his name is Comicman. So let's have a look at him. He's got a couple of double punches there, a move and a heroic, plus he's got a heroic and a couple of moves there as well. Those, so pretty standard spread of actions there. But then he's got these abilities here. No starting hand ability, but I think he's got two. No, hold on. No, they're all different, aren't they? Yes. So each of these cards is a onomatopoeia sort of thing. It is basically a comic book sort of bam, pow, that sort of thing as well. So this one here is pow, bam. Oh wait, no, because unfortunately bam is a bad thing for us in this game. So the villain activates their bam. Threats do not activate their bam, but the villain basically gets an extra bam. You do get a wild out of it, and unfortunately this is one that you have to play. So I like that bam. Oh no, wait, oh, whoops, we shouldn't have said that. Then we've got the bamf. Okay, you must move to any other location. You may bring another hero in your location with you, and I like how he's got these little panels here where they've got the actual onomatopoeia, the sound effects happening here. We've got a heroic. This one is a thwip, so we've got the Spider-Man thwip, gain 2 movement tokens, and then of course we've got schnicked. I don't know, is that how you pronounce that? Schnicked, from old Wolverine there, and 3 punches. So quite a fun way to handle that character. Then we have Emily, I believe her name is. She's like a ghost type character. So we've got, or some sort of supernatural sort of poltergeisty sort of character. So we've got a couple of heroics here, a heroic and a punch. And then we've got our single actions. Oh, hold on, that should be up here. We've got a move and a punch, and we've got a heroic and a move there. And then this one here is a starting hand ability, so poltergeist, like I was saying before. Once per turn, you may move a civilian or a thug from its location to a location adjacent to it, which could be really handy for if you can't quite reach someone you needed to take out to sort of clear a mission, or maybe you're trying to sort of manage overflow. That could be quite a useful ability, and that's an always in effect ability if you have this in the storyline. And then we've got, I think there's 3 copies of this. So Yuki Onna, so she can move 2 civilians or thugs from any location to your location, so from any locations to your location. Deal 2 damage to a single target in your location, so you can sort of bring a whole bunch of people to you and then actually do some damage, although it doesn't specify that you need to do 2 damage to these guys, so you could bring them in and maybe punch a henchman or something as well. So there's a few different options you've got here. And then we've got a punch here, a move here, and a star here. So same ability, but different actions at the bottom. All right. And then we have, now this guy, I'm not sure how to pronounce his name. I'm going to say, let's have a look, let's get that to focus there. Gevaudan. Don't really know how to say that, so let us know in the comics how you say it. I'll have to go back and watch the anime and see how they say it there. But we have, he's basically sort of like a big werewolf guy, big beastman sort of guy. He has a move and a heroic and just a couple of moves there. He's actually got quite a lot of specials, so he's just got those ones as his basic abilities. There you are. And then if we have a look here, he's got plenty here. So we've got a starting hand card here. This one says Rebeast. So I like how he's sort of like doing a pirouette or something, jumping through those 2 people there. When you play a Roaring Rage card, which we'll see, you may flip this card face down to ignore its mandatory effect. So it's not one that stays in play like a lot of starting hand cards, but it's one that sort of like you just always have this up your sleeve from the beginning of the game. So that's cool. So when you play a Roaring Rage card, you may flip this to ignore the mandatory effect, and you'll see because of his beastly sort of stuff, sometimes they have some tricky things you've got to sort of put down. So it gives you a wild as well. Then we have Enhanced Senses. So reveal the top card of the Master Plan deck. If during the villain turn or the next villain turn, the villain ends their movement in your location, you may immediately punch in your location. So pretty handy. He's got a couple of those, but you can see with different actions at the bottom there. And then here we go, we've got our Roaring Rage cards. He's got 3 of these, I think, and they all have the double punch. So let's have a look at them though. So double punches, that's pretty handy, but you do have to do this effect unless you can flip that starting hand card. This says you must immediately use all punch actions before any other actions can be used. If there are no damageable targets, you must target other heroes in your location. So if you get stuck with this card in your hand, it's the only one you've got, it could be quite a devastating thing to have to play. If you have no targets, you may then use other actions. So yeah, there's a few little sort of get out of jail sort of things there, including where is our card here? This one here. But yeah, you've got to be careful with these. So that's pretty cool. I like that character. He's fun. And then we have Jack Mantis, I think his name is. Yes, Jack Mantis. There we go. Woohoo for comic book knowledge. Alright, so we've got a couple of punches, we've got a heroic and a punch, we've got a couple of heroics, so lots of double actions there. Look at that, we've got a double movement. And then he's got a single movement. And let's have a look at his other abilities. Starting hand card here, this one says Razor Sharp. So he basically can sort of grow blades or something on his body. At the start of your turn, before the draw step, you may immediately perform a free punch in your location, and this is every turn, basically, or every one of your turns once you've got this in the storyline, unless it gets flipped face down. Okay, so that's pretty handy. You can see that yeah, he's going to be quite useful, you know, against henchmen and all that sort of stuff as well. We can see here environmental destruction. He's got 2 of these. You may place a punch token on any number of empty slots in your location. Then gain a punch token for each slot you covered. So you basically put punch tokens on any number of slots in this spot, and then civilians or thugs can't be added to slots covered with tokens. So essentially you get the benefit of getting these punches out of this, punch tokens, but you are sort of permanently making the locations more likely to overflow. So yeah, I like that. That's pretty tricky. So you can see that, you know, this power here was quite powerful, and he's got a lot of punches there. But then this is quite a dangerous one to use. So he's not necessarily overpowered character in that sense, because you've got to be careful with how you use him. And let's have a look at this flip ability here. So Battlefield Awareness. During a villain turn, you may flip this card face down. When you do, choose a location with any punch tokens. So they're the ones you put out before, covering slots, and remove them. So this gives you that little bit of like, okay, get a little bit of breathing room there. Heroes in that location can't be damaged this turn, so you can sort of set up some powerful turns there as well. Awesome character. He's good fun. And now this is one of, I think, I could be getting this wrong, but it feels like one of the earliest characters that Nelly made. And I should also point out, I don't really know much about these guys in terms of if Nelly's made updates to the Class 1B characters, but I know this one's quite early, so it'd be interesting to see if Nelly's made any changes to her. But before we look at her, her name is, I think, is it Tailsplitter or no, it's Lizardy. But we should read this ability here. So, Tail Splitter tokens. When an ability says to place a Tail Splitter token, you can place any number of Tail Splitter tokens from your pool. If you are KO'd, all active Tail Splitter tokens return to your pool. Okay, so when an ability says to put it down, you can put them out, but they do sort of come back if you get KO'd. And there are different types of tokens, so we'll have a look at these. The benefit of each type and how many you have at the start of a game is listed below. So you have one Eyes Tail Splitter token at the start of the game. If the villain is in the same location as the token during a hero turn, reveal the next master plan card, so you're sort of spying. And then this one is the hand tail splitter token, so you get 2 of these. You may use your punch actions in a location with this token, and there are 3 body tail splitter tokens. So you've really got to sort of manage the different tokens and think about where you want each one to be. Sorry for shaking the card around there, guys. If another hero would take damage in a location with this token, you may send this token back to the pool to prevent that damage. So that's how that works. And then if we have a look at it, the rest of her cards, if I'm not mistaken, apart from her wilds and double wilds, and of course you might have noticed I'm not showing off the wilds and double wilds, but I've taken those out of the text because we don't really need to look at those. Every character's got them. But you can see she's got Lizard Tail Splitter, and this says place a Tail Splitter token, which could be the eyes, the body, or the hands, in any location, or move a Tail Splitter token from any location to any other location. And so you can see that is across all of her cards. So she actually has the same ability on all cards. So really what we're looking at now is the difference of what abilities does she have across her deck. So she's got a punch and a heroic, she's got a move and a punch, a move and heroic, or other way around. She's got a heroic, couple of those, 3 of those, and she's got some movement and a single punch there. So pretty cool. So you can see she doesn't have a lot of punches, but she's got that versatility with the tokens that, you know, the punches that she does have from her cards, and, you know, I guess when you're teaming up and stuff as well with other heroes. But the the punches she does have can sort of be, you know, affecting places across the board depending on how you've set that up. So yeah, so her punches, not a lot of them in her deck, but, you know, quite versatile. So there you go. And now this guy, again, he's not one that I 100% know how to pronounce, but Weizi. I think that's how you'd say that. So he sort of shoots these little thorns out or something like that. I'm not 100% sure what's going on with that. We'll have a look at the ability. It might sort of give more detail, but let's have a look at his actions here. He's got a couple of move and punches. He's got a punch and a heroic, and then some heroics there and a punch. And then he's got a few different abilities here. So this one's a starting hand card. It says Scale Armor. So you may ignore 1 damage during each villain turn. And so that's an ongoing ability. A bit like Colossus in that sense. And then he's got Leafy Scales. So he's got these scales, but he can also shoot them. So you may use your punches in any location, but this is just, you know, this turn. And you may treat movement as punches this turn as well, and it gives you a few of those, so that's pretty handy. And then if we have a look here, he's got reverse scales. So until the start of your next turn, you can no longer ignore damage with scale armor if that's still in effect. Instead, punch in your location once for each card you discard from damage. Henchmen take double damage from this ability, so that's really cool. You can sort of change things up if it's necessary in the situation. And then this is a flip ability. This is Scale Carapace. So during the villain turn, or a villain turn, you may flip this card to ignore all damage you would take this turn. So he's a pretty defensive character there, but with a little bit of capacity to do some big damage turns, but you've got to time those right. Now, we've got Mines. This guy's cool. So he's got a couple of heroics there. He's got a move and a punch, a couple of those, a couple of punches there. But then he can sort of like, essentially, things that he touches, he can sort of make move extra fast or something like that, or like get double the energy, sort of kinetic energy or something like that. So he's got Twin Dash. During any turn, you may flip this card to immediately move. So that's pretty handy. You can get a burst of speed sort of like by triggering that. So basically he can sort of like touch things, and then at any moment he can then sort of like make it sort of explode with energy, or, you know, move, you know, really fast sort of thing. So that's pretty cool. And then he's got 2 of these as well, which are Twin Impact. So he can sort of like double the kinetic force of stuff, I think, is the idea. So until the end of this turn, anytime you punch, place a punch token in that location. So basically during the turn that you play this card, okay, you want to sort of line it up with a few punches if you can. You get one to start with, but you basically you do the punch, and then you get to put another punch token down. And then Twin Impact, this sort of sits in the storyline for a while, and then you can flip this during any future hero turn. You may flip this to use each punch token you've placed in the location that you have placed it. Okay, and it basically goes away from there too. So yeah, so you can sort of set up, you can do punches that also then set up for later, you know, triggering sort of like little timed bomb sort of things that can affect the villains and henchmen and stuff later on. So another sort of fun one to sort of like play around with and manipulate and, you know, plan out your turns and that sort of thing. Now, and I have to apologize as well, I didn't show off the tokens for Lizardy because I actually never got around to printing off her tokens, so I'll have to do that. But Mudman, I do actually have his tokens somewhere, but I just haven't got them out for this video, so apologies to NellyNel for not showing those off. We've got Mudman. He has, you can guess he's got sort of like muddy type powers, but he's got a couple of heroics, not moves. He's got a couple of heroics and a couple of single heroics and a punch there. But then let's have a look at his soften ability, because the rest of his cards all sort of feature this soften ability. So it's not literally mud that his powers are. He can basically sort of make anything, any surface, any sort of object or whatever, become sort of soft and mud-like. So when a villain moves through a location with a soften token, count that location twice when calculating their movement. So he slows them down, only moving to the next location if they have enough movement left to pass through. Then remove the soften token from that location, regardless of if the villain was forced to stop in the location or not. If a villain starts their turn in a location with a soften token and their movement this turn is at least 1, reduce the amount of movement from their master plan card by 1, remove the soften token, and then proceed with their movement. So essentially, still sort of slowing them down. Soften tokens have no effect on special movements, such as move to the next location with any heroes, but they aren't removed when the villain uses a special movement either. So essentially, they can be bypassed by those sort of special, sort of like super speedy sort of moves that the villains use, but at least it doesn't sort of like get rid of the tokens. They still stick around so they can slow them down properly later on. So that's the soften ability. So you'll see that a lot of these abilities now deal with the soften token. So softening, place a soften token in your location. There you go, pretty straightforward. It's got a few of those. How many is that? 4 of those plus some movement. So pretty fast character too, because he can swim through the ground, I guess. And then we've got a couple of these as well. And here we go. Swim through land. That's what I just said, sort of. Place a soften token in your location, then move to any other location and place a soften token there as well. So there you go. That's cool. It sort of goes through and pops up somewhere else. And that gives you the punches as well. Now, this guy is a full-on jerk, but we love him. So I think his name Monomar or something in the, like his actual name is Monomar or something, but he's called the Phantom Thief. And he's a really interesting character that Nelly's come up with. Essentially, his quirk is that he can copy other heroes' powers. I think if he touches them, or if he can, I don't know if it's if he touches them or if he can see them. But yeah, he essentially copies other characters' powers. So let's have a look at how he works here. A side character. So Phantom Thief's deck is an unusual deck, loaded with heroics. He's got a lot of heroics throughout his deck. Each of these actions has a sort of little time symbol on them. And so Nelly's used that really cool effect, like the Green Lantern cards that we're going to see in the DC range, where he's got these little symbols that are attached to the tokens. Or not to the tokens, sorry, to the actions. Alright, so when Phantom Thief plays one of these cards, so anything that has this symbol on it, alright, he can either use the heroic action as normal or forego the heroic action and choose another hero in his location. When another hero is chosen this way, Phantom Thief can use the action symbols at the bottom of one of the chosen hero's face-up cards in the storyline. And at the end of the turn, the chosen card is turned face down though. So you want to be careful you're not using those on cards you're planning on getting back from the storyline or ongoing special effects and things. The heroics with little time symbols are still heroics for any other heroes gaining actions from Phantom Thief's cards. So if this is sitting in the storyline, the next character would still get a heroic symbol there for that one there. So let's have a look through his deck now that we know what he can do with these little symbols here. He's got a heroic and a punch. He's got a move and a heroic. He's got a heroic, and you guessed it, he's got another heroic and another one. And then he's got some special powers here too. So let's have a look at these. Copy. So use the special effect of another hero's face-up card in the storyline. At the end of your turn, turn that card face down. And he's essentially got that one 4 times. And again, lots of heroics there. So even though he's got a lot of heroics, which is good, especially if you need a character with a lot of heroics, these aren't necessarily always going to have to be heroics. He's actually quite versatile. He can trade these in for better combos of abilities from other players' cards, as long as he sticks nearby them. So yeah, great character, really interesting, changes up the way that you would play the game So for characters looking for a more complex game, you know, a less straightforward hero, he's another one that's really cool. So there's quite a few of them in this range of 1B characters. Let's check out Plamo. This is the character that I forgot to print out. I don't know why I missed him, but he could be called Paste Pot Pete. Look at him. He's got a giant paste pot sort of head. He's got like a glue nozzle head. But he's got a couple of movement there, movement punches, heroics and punches, punch. And now, let's check him out. So this says Semidine. So once per turn, you may use a heroic to place the Semidine token, again I haven't printed that out, in an adjacent location. Villains in this location, or villains that enter this location, you guessed it, can't leave because they get stuck. The token is removed at the end of the next villain turn. So that's a great, so it's kind of like a more, like a stronger version of the soften ability, but you know, he can't put out as many as Mudman can. But yeah, that's cool. So 2 characters good at slowing down the enemy. So it'd be interesting with the different combinations of these characters. Having 2 of these characters might not be the best, but I guess if you're playing with someone like maybe one of those heroes that really hunts down the enemies and things like that, like a Sabretooth or maybe Juggernaut or something like that, that's moving around and doing a lot of damage. Having a few of these characters and different ways to slow them down could be really handy as well. So good choices for like how you're going to build your team makeup there as well. So that's a starting hand card, and I'm sort of going off on a tangent, aren't I? So let's have a look before I go too far. At this other ability, Glue Squall. So until the start of your next turn, your Semidine token affects its location and both adjacent locations. So that's super handy. And he's got 3 of those that have heroics at the bottom too. All right, now this guy's really cool. This is Real Steel, I think his name is. Yeah, and there's a sort of a funny ongoing joke in the series where he essentially is has very similar powers to Red Riot, and they're very evenly matched and always sort of seem to end in a tie. So yeah, he's a really fun one. And the way Nelly has put this guy together is he's sort of very similar, I think, to Red Riot, but he probably is a little bit more heroic centered than punch centered, I think, compared to Red Riot, but I'm not sure if that's actually true. I'm just gonna I think that's right, so Nelly can let us know if I'm getting that wrong, or you guys can compare the last video. But he's got a move and heroic, a move and a couple of move and punches, but then he's got a couple of heroics there, a heroic, and then he's got a punch there. But let's have a look at his abilities. He's a pretty straightforward character. He's got 2 starting hand cards, which I think Red Riot does as well. So he's got Into the Fire. Instead of turning his body into sort of like a rock hard mode, he turns himself into like a steel mode, of course, with the name there. As long as this card is face up in the storyline, you may use heroics in your location whenever you ignore damage. So I think Red Riot has like a punch ability like that. And then he's got Steel Body. As long as this card is face up in the storyline, you may ignore 1 damage during each villain turn. And then Steel Fist. You can move, then punch, and this damage cannot be ignored. So I'm not sure if that's supposed to be the equivalent of what do they call it, unpreventable damage or whatever, but or maybe this was, yeah, Nelly maybe will let us know, but I'm not sure if this was supposed to be slightly different to unpreventable or not. And then he's got a punch on there as well. Fantastic. Let's move on to the next one. This is, I think her name is Rocketti. Yep, Rocketti. So she has these horns here, which I think she can like shoot them off her head and they go flying and stuff as well. So she's got a heroic and a punch, a couple of heroic punches, a couple of movements there, double move and a single, got a punch there. And let's have a look at these horns. So this is a starting hand card. And the horn cannon, yeah, there you go, so he shoots them. You may use your punch actions to defeat thugs in adjacent locations. So there you go. And that's an ongoing effect. But then she's also got some one-off effects here. So she's got Thunderhorn. She's got a couple of these. They've got heroics at the bottom, and then she can double punch in her location. And then if you use both on the same target, you may treat the actions at the bottom of this card as punches instead of heroics. So this is a pretty powerful card because you get 2 heroics. You pass those on to the next character. You get 2 punches, and you could potentially turn these into 4 punches, so very powerful. And then we have the Horn Dash. So you may move another hero from your location to any adjacent location. Then that hero may immediately perform a heroic or a punch in their new location. And she's got a couple of those as well. So there you go, that's Rocketti. Nice simple one again, but very powerful. And this character is, I think her name is Rule or Ruler. Let's have a look. Rule, okay. So I think she can sort of like shrink and make things like grow bigger or shrink the size of things. So kind of like Ant-Man, but can't make herself grow big, but sort of makes other things grow big and small and stuff. So let's have a look. Rule. She has a couple of heroics there, a couple of moving heroics, and a single heroic and a single punch. A couple of single punches there, so you can see not a lot of punches going on there in her regular cards. And she doesn't have any starting hand cards here, but she does have a couple of different cards here, but you can see the size small, they both come with wilds, but the size large, there's a there's a punch and a movement. Let's have a look at size large. So until the start of your next turn, when a hero uses an action token, it may be used twice in succession before being discarded. Wild tokens must repeat the same action. So if you use a wild token as a move, it has to be used as a second move as well if you're going to use that ability. All right, and the same for each of the other actions. And then size small. So for each action you choose to forego this turn, distribute a matching token from the pool to any hero. So you can see this is a bit of a combo. So you might be wondering, oh well, this is not a very useful character if you can't get much. If you can't get many tokens, generated during your game. But she can sort of generate the tokens as well, so there you go. And it does say you can distribute them to yourself as well. It says yeah, to any hero. All right, and let's take a look at the next character. So this is she's like a little mushroom girl type thing. She can cause mushrooms to grow, which is quite gross, but she's pretty cool. Her name is Shemage. I'm not really sure how to pronounce this. I'm wondering if this is like a Japanese word for mushroom, or or a variety of mushroom or something like that. I'm not really sure. Let us know in the comments, guys, if you're more worldly knowledgeable about these sorts of things. But let's have a look at her abilities. She's got a couple of heroics here. She's got quite a few of those cards. She's got a couple of punches there and a movement as well. But before we get into her special cards, and this is a starting hand card as well, as I was going through, I realized that there's actually a card I have not printed off for her, and that is her rules card. So I've just brought that up. I've looked it up here on my phone here, so you can see grow mushrooms. Not sure how, is that going to show up? Oh, I think that looks all right here. So let's have a look here. So grow mushrooms. When let's say Shemage, I'm not sure, would grow mushrooms, place a mushroom above the leftmost, and it's a mushroom token that is, above the leftmost civilian or thug slot in that location. If that location already has a mushroom token, slide it one slot to the right instead. The growth level of that location is based on the number of slots that the token is above. So the leftmost slot being 1, and then the next slot being 2, and so on. So obviously the more slots in that location, the higher the level can go. Heroes gain the following benefits in a location with a mushroom token. So a hero who would be damaged can reduce the growth level of their location. For each level, reduce the damage that hero would have taken. A location loses its mushroom token if reduced while at level 1. Heroes in a location at max growth, that's mushroom token is above the rightmost slot, ignore any BAM effects that target a single hero. BAM effects that target all heroes cannot be ignored, even if only one hero is in the location. Okay, so that's the general rule for growing mushrooms. And so now that we know that, and apologies to NellyNel that I never actually, I must have overlooked that when printing, so I'll have to print that off. But now that we know that, let's have a look at how that interacts with her actual abilities. So you might guess that she's got an ability to put those out. So you may use heroics to grow mushrooms. So essentially, you don't just get to put them out for free. You have to spend a heroic action to do that. But it's an ability that she's got ongoing that she can keep doing as long as this card is not flipped in the storyline. It gives her a while as well. So there you go. Now she's also got these shroom shooters. So this turn, when you would grow mushrooms, so using heroics, the effect happens in your location and both adjacent locations. So that's, and both adjacent locations. That's very powerful there. So she's got a couple of those. And then she's also got this one, so she can really sort of cash in with this one here. Split gill lung strike, so she can get the mushrooms growing in your lungs here. So at the start of the next villain turn, negate the villain's movement if the growth in their location is level 1 or 2. So that's quite handy. But if you have got the growth level to 3 or 4, you play the master plan card face down instead if it's level 3 or 4. But then either way, whichever level you've got up to then, if you've played this card, discard the mushroom token in that location, and that gives you a movement. And I should say, we're not putting mushrooms in your lungs, are we? We're putting them in the villain's lungs in this case. So yeah, quite cool. So again, apologies that I don't have all the cards printed out for her, but hopefully you can see how fun that she would be. Well, let's look at the next guy here. This is Spiral. Let's have a look here, see if you can make that out. Spiral. And he looks pretty sort of unassuming here, but essentially he can sort of make any sort of part of his body sort of gyrate, like rotate really fast and turn them into like a drill type thing. So pretty handy ability. He's got a couple of punches, a couple of heroics there. You've got a couple of those. There we go. And he's got his movement and a single punch there. But if we have a look here, this is his starting hand card. This is the general sort of gyrate ability here. Damage you deal is unpreventable. So that's pretty handy. And then he's just got the two other cards here, which are overpowered heroics. So double punch a single enemy in your location. If you defeat a henchman with this ability, gain 2 heroic tokens. And he's essentially got 2 of those. So he's all about sort of like doubling down on things. Yeah, sort of like once he starts spinning, you can't stop, sort of thing. So I like that a lot of his abilities are sort of doubles. That's pretty cool. And then this next guy, his name, I don't know how to pronounce this. Tsuburaba, I think. He again is another sort of unassuming looking character, but he sort of has the ability to, I think, use his voice to create like barriers, like force fields and things like that. He can sort of use the air to sort of like manipulate the air to sort of like become a solid, almost like a solid object sort of thing. So there you go. You can kind of see him making a bit of a little cube there of air or whatever. But a couple of heroics, moving heroics as well. He's got quite a, oh man, he's got how many of those? 4 of those. Plus a punch and a move there. But let's have a look at these air abilities. So air wall, okay. So until the start of your next turn, a villain trying to enter your location immediately stops in the preceding location. Another one. So a lot of these guys in Class 1B are very good at sort of like stopping the enemy. There you go. Air prison. So choose a villain or henchman. Until the start of your next turn, your chosen target can't move from their location and heroes can't enter that location. So this one sort of traps someone in place. This one stops someone sort of like from moving through to you. Then deep breath, swap this card, and you can see it doesn't have any options down here, but swap this card with any of your face-up special effect cards in the storyline. So either of these two. That card becomes the one you played this turn. So he can basically, have another go. So it takes a deep breath and sort of changes things up again. So yeah, very cool. Now Vantablack, Cool sort of shadowy character, uses the he can sort of hide in the shadows and manipulate shadows and stuff, I think, and a cool name for him as well. So Vantablack has the double heroics there, plus a single, and he's got a couple of single punches as well. So again, not a lot of movement because he kind of like lurks around and hides and stuff. So you can see he's got a couple of movements here in his special abilities, but not a lot through his regular ones. His starting hand card is merge into shadows. So when a hero leaves your location, you may move with them. Okay, that's pretty cool. And then he's got 4 of these hidden in shadow abilities, and they're all the same. You can see they've got the same movement action at the bottom. These allow you to once before the start of your next turn, if your location would overflow, immediately defeat up to 2 thugs in your location before adding any civilians or thugs to the location. So good one to set up in a spot you don't want to overflow, especially if you know that there's some thugs there already, because you can't punch the thugs that might be coming into it, and certainly not the civilians. But yeah, if you've got spots with lots of thugs, this can be used for sort of managing that overflow ability, as long as you're prepared for the damage that you do to them to sort of go into the defeat thugs mission, because he could rapidly sort of ramp up that mission before you're ready if you don't watch out. Now this character here, I think we'll check her out. I think she might be a quite protective character. Let's see if I'm remembering her correctly. But her name is Vine, as you might be able to guess from all the vines growing from her head here. So she's got a couple of heroics, a punch and heroics. She's got quite a few of those, and then she's got some movement here and a punch. And then she's got some vine abilities, and all 3 are different. So let's have a look here. She's got Faith's Shield, so she makes like a big cocoon of vines, I guess, here. You can't take any damage until the start of your next turn. There you go. Then she's got Crucifixion. So if the villain is in your location, you may delay the next villain turn by 1 additional hero turn. And then, now I think this is Via Dolorosa, or Via Dolorosa. Until the start of your next turn, if a villain would move through a location adjacent to you, you may end their movement in that location. Yeah, so another one for slowing down the enemy and, you know, giving you some protective powers as well. All right, so they seem like in general a very sort of support heavy type class, I think. There's a few sort of heavy hitters and stuff, but a lot of these abilities seem very sort of supporty sort of abilities. We've got I should have introduced this guy. This is Welder. So Welder, as you might be able to guess, is able to weld things, stick things together. So he's got a move and a punch, a couple of those. He's got a couple of double moves. He's got some heroics there as well, plus a movement. And then all of his abilities are not starting hand cards. He's got a couple of welds and then a couple of construction done quick cards. Let's have a look at the weld. Until the start of your next turn, heroes in your location can't be forced to discard their last card. Awesome. And then construction done quick. Until the start of your next turn, if a villain would move through your location, you may end their movement in your location. And let's check out the final deck here, which is actually not a hero. This is their Class 1B team deck. So very cool. I've been really eager to see Nelly go through, and once he made that first Class 1A class and actually gave them a team deck, I've been really looking forward to him finishing off the 1B class and giving them a team deck as well. And he has certainly delivered. So let's check them out. Here's the list here. So you can see all the different students we just went through here. But there is also this character, Vlad King, who is the sort of the main teacher associated with this class. But I will feature him and all the other teachers for Class 1A and those guys in a special, I think we'll do a teacher and pro hero video as maybe the next one before we do the villains for this My Hero range as well. So that'll be another deep dive video. But in Class 1A, you might have noticed that there's a lot, I don't think a lot more teachers, but there are more teachers associated with Class 1A, whereas this was really the only main sort of teacher that was, sort of focused on or featured when they were showing off Class 1B. So there we go, that's the team list. But as with all team decks, I say don't worry too much about the official list with those team decks, especially with the Marvel United stuff and that sort of thing. I say, because lots of people say, oh, well, these lists are weird, and, you know, I really want to use this character because really in the comics they were in this team, and it's like, well, just do it. Like, who's stopping you? So, but at least with these guys, this is a pretty good list of who's exactly in this class. So, I love the title of this one because this guy Monomer is always banging on about it. Better than Class 1A. Debatable, but that's what he vehemently believes. Double each heroic on the previous hero card in the storyline. And you might have noticed there's quite a lot of heroics in this class as well, so that could be quite good. Better than 1A, double each punch on the previous hero card in the storyline. There you go. So 2 copies of that, 1 for punches, 1 for heroics. Book smart, so heroic and punch split as you like in any hero's location. And we have provisional hero license, so punch against a single target in your location once for each hero in your location. And he's got one last one, I think. Yep, so, and that is bring out your potential. So each hero with less than 3 cards in hand may draw a card. So very handy healing ability there. And then, of course, there's always the downside. There's always the drawback card. So this is their weakness, lacking experience. So as long as this card is in the team display, each civilian requires an extra heroic to be rescued. Unless you want to play this card, in which case when it goes in the storyline, turn this card face down, which essentially gives you not much of a turn, and it gives not much of a turn to the hero that's going to follow you. So are you prepared to sort of have a couple of dud turns to get rid of this ongoing negative ability, or can you put up with this? So yeah, interesting. So that is Class 1B's team deck. And with that, that is all of Class 1B. So we've seen pretty much all the students. There are some a couple of students that are featured from other schools and some other little sort of tertiary sort of characters here and there as well, but we might feature them all in with the sort of like the extra characters, so the pro heroes, the teachers, and any leftover students as well. And hopefully I can get that video filmed fairly quick so that Nelly doesn't create 15 extra characters that we have to try and cram into that video. So we'll see how we go with that. But yeah, there's lots of My Hero characters, as you can see here. So this is 2 full class worth of characters, heroes that you can use, and there's just a lot more fun, different modes and stuff like that you can play with in this My Hero world that Nelly's created as well. So I hope you guys have enjoyed seeing this deep dive into what you can get with the even just the backup characters. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to showing off the rest of this range, and then also diving into some other worlds and other designers' creations and that sort of thing as well. So I hope you guys are liking these deep dive videos. I've had some folks jump in the comments and say that they sort of really appreciate seeing the great work that people are doing, and so you know, thumbs up to all the fans out there that are banding together and making these great creations for the rest of the community. Really good job, and thanks for those folks that said those kind words about what these guys are creating. So yeah, let's all keep having fun and enjoying the hobby and enjoying the game of United as well. So awesome, guys. We'll catch you on the next one. See you later. Maple Monkey out.